What is going on, viewers of YouTube? SunSpot here, guys. My review of the Hot Toys 1/6 scale MMS-308 Ant-Man movie masterpiece collectible figure. As per usual, I do want to highlight the packaging. I always love taking a look at the Hot Toys art boxes. This in particular just because of the James Bond-esque theme they got going on here. If you've seen James Bond and watched all the intros for like all 25 or 24 whatever movies, then you could tell this is very Bond-esque. Do have Ant-Man here with his own silhouette in the background. Yellow Jacket is apparently reflecting off of his visor, which I just noticed now. Very cool. Do have him shrunken down there. Does say Marvel's Ant-Man MMS-308 1/6 scale collectible figure. And this would not be a Hot Toys box without the Hot Toys and Movie Masterpiece logos in the corner. Side of the box continues the Bond-esque pattern, just loving that, and it says the exact same thing that I just said. The other side of the box is nearly similar, only with Anthony in this white silhouette motion here. Oh, Anthony, we'll miss you. And the top of the box is the most interesting thing in the world because it says MMS-308 Ant-Man 1/6 scale collectible figure. Solve the riddle, people. Back of the box, of course, continues that same theme, only with some warning labels, warning you to not choke on Paul Rudd's head. As for the figure himself, this guy is just crazy impressive. I know in the Hot Toys community, he is highly controversial, mainly because of his lack of articulation. However, that does not take away from the fact that this guy is just ridiculously detailed and well-tailored. Let's take a closer look. As for the head sculpt, this is what makes the figure as impressive as it is. Just look at it, people. It is gorgeous. The amount of detail, specifically in all these scuff marks, and I guess you can call it battle damage, wear and tear, is just uncanny, because as we all know, if you've watched the film, that this is basically a motorcycle suit, only heavily modded to be the Ant-Man armor, and so it's pretty rusted, considering Hank Pym wore it a ton in the mid to late 80s. So, blocking some light here, you could tell that the amount of scuffs and detail they put into this is just so beautiful. I love the sculpt too. Very ant-like. It sounds stupid, but it's ant-like. I feel like the Civil War version doesn't appeal to the ant in him, which again sounds stupid, but it is very true. And I love the paint job, the shiny silver, the subtlety of some burgundy dark red here, and the transparent glossy red. And I don't know if you could tell on camera, but you can kind of see Scott Lang's eyes in there. You can tell in person, probably not showing up on camera, but it's very, very cool. And, you know, again, it's very fragile. Me touching it's already fallen off. And I'll get to the faceplate action and whatever. And I do love these wires here connecting to his ears and stuff. It's very pretty. Do love all these indentations and everything. The antennae are actually not articulated, so don't try and remove these or bend them because they're very brittle plastic. So if you try to move them, you know, good luck getting another one of these figures, because apparently he is quite rare in the community now. As for the rest of the figure, the one thing I cannot comprehend is how can a man, quite the skinny man, have abs bulging out of a biker suit? And this suit is pretty damn thick, alright? It's not, you know, skin tight. It's pretty thick. So, you know, Paul Rudd must have worked out pretty well to get his abs and his pecs poking out there. But the fact that they molded each individual little indentation dot here is just ridiculously impressive. And, you know, sliding your fingers against this, you could definitely tell that they did each and every one of these, and they really did not get too lazy on this figure. I love the tailoring, the pleather effect they got going on here between the joints and going throughout the arm, and how everything just folds into each other is just, it's very well engineered. And I do like his backpack here. I'm just trying to zoom in better. Very well detailed. Love the paint job with the different reds and, you know, shades of black and such. And what's interesting is actually the red here is a bit different than the actual suit. It's hard to tell on camera, but that's the case in real life. And, you know, moving down to his arms and such, more of that pleather effect with those dots, indentations and such. And he actually does have some articulated wrist guards. And they can rotate a little bit. I'd rather not do that on camera just because, oh, there goes his faceplate. Yeah, it's pretty fragile, but it's neat. You know, I do love the wear and tear on the silver, and the hands are well sculpted too. The hands are actually pretty damn important on Ant-Man just because this is how he activates his ability, and you can tell the button is sculpted very well. I'm trying to zoom in a bit better here. I don't have any bleeding of the paint, which is always nice, and I do love the indentations on the midpoints of his fingers. Just a great attention to detail, honestly, and the folding of leather on the palms is just really impressive. Do love all the detail they put just throughout the figure with all these different lines indented and sculpted, and it's so well done. And if people are wondering, these pieces here, the quote-unquote metal pieces, they're actually not metal or plastic. They're kind of rubbery, actually. They're definitely fragile. They can come off, so just be aware. And his belt is just looking phenomenal. Really love it. It's not stitched into the suit, so you can actually move it around a bit. So it's, you know, good and well engineered. And these can actually come out. Don't lose them though. And these are actually part of the accessory, which I'll get to later. So don't push them in too deep, because you will never get them out. So that's just a word of advice. And I just love the sculpt on this thing. It is so nice. Love the battle damage effect on the silver. It's just working so well with the figure, and god damn, it's beautiful. I say that as I look at his crotch. Moving down on the figure, more of that wonderful tailoring. Loving these indentations and everything. It's so beautiful. I love the glossy black they used for the material, and all these different patterns and designs they used just circulating throughout the suit. Just have some metal pieces. Not metal pieces, they're plastic, but you know, they're molded on pretty well. This one's a bit wiggly. I'd be careful not to mess around with that too much because it might pop off. And the boots, you may think, are not articulated at all, but they're pretty damn articulated. Do have some nice angle pivot motion, such which I'll get to later. One thing I wish is I wish they added a bit more detail on the shoes or the boots. I'm not sure how it is in the movie. Maybe this is screen accurate, but for the figure, I wish it had a bit more paint decals, I guess. You know, but overall, it's a wonderful sculpt. Now moving on to one of the most important parts of this figure, which is the removable faceplate. Now, before I get into that, I do want to mention these wires are just highly, highly fragile. This is a large complaint on the forums for this guy, that these things pop out easily, and you see I just touched it and it just popped out. And yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna lie or defend Hot Toys. Yeah, that's a problem, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. I'm gonna be honest. Just look how easy it is to put back in. There, you're done. So I don't know why people are complaining that much. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, yes, you paid an enormous amount of money for this figure, but hey, everything has a fault, I guess. But just moving on, I highly recommend removing these while doing the faceplate action. So what you do is, this is held on a magnet, and it's a straw magnet, just saying. So you just position that like your standard Iron Man figure. Now, here's where it gets a little bit fragile. Basically what you do, you grab his cheeks here, or his ears and cheeks, I guess, and you kind of just slide it down and push the entire jaw down. And this is articulated, so you can, you know, articulate it any way you want. If you want his chin to show or not, you know, up to you. I do want it to show, and just kind of, you know, articulate things the way you want. Find the best way to show off Paul Rudd, and then what you do is you can close or plug in these little wires here, and then you should be set. And here is Scott Lang. And it's a wonderful sculpt. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take this off for a sec just to get a better view of the actual head. The detail is incredible. You can tell that the flesh tone on this guy is just uncanny. It is really impressive. I don't know if you can see on camera, but his eyes are just like staring into your soul, and they have so much depth and so many paint applications, just ridiculous. And I do love the little 5 o'clock shadow that Scott Lane's got going on. Just so much detail, the pores in the skin, the wrinkles, everything. It's just, it is crazy impressive. And now I hope you could see his eyes a little bit better, and I can actually put on the faceplate for a sec to show you how it would look, because this is a really good shot, I think. And it just shows you the amount of accuracy and detail Hot Toys puts into their figures. And if you want to close this guy back up, just push his little jaw up, move his little mouthpiece, and put down, articulate everything the way you want it, and he is back in Ant-Man mode. As for the articulation, the big no-no of this figure, to some people it honestly doesn't bother me. Again, like I mentioned, honestly just remove these wires when articulating the figure, and once you have them in the pose you like, put them back. So the head, it actually has two joints, the neck joint and the upper neck joint here, or the head I guess, so that can actually go forward that much, up that much, side to side. It just removed because I'm such a genius, and it can obviously fully articulate, even though I honestly just don't recommend it because everything just, you know, falls apart. The neck piece can do the same thing, forward, back, and a bit of a tilt side to side. The arms, very limited, can go forward that much, can go back that much, in and out that much, can rotate at the upper bicep. He has one joint at the elbow, which is a bit unfortunate, and his wrists can fully rotate as well as wobble. He honestly doesn't have much in the ab area. It's really hard to get to. He can basically go forward that much, back that much, and side to side. So very limited just because the suit is quite thick, and you know, it's not the figure's fault. I mean, he wasn't very flexible in the movie. His legs can go forward that much, back that much, can barely do the splits, do have that upper thigh rotation. He has two joints at the knee, and of course he does have ankle pivot as well as a full range of rotation at the ankle. As for size, this guy stands at about 12 inches, 1/6 scale. I do have the Hot Toys First Order Stormtrooper here, who's actually just a bit taller, which I guess makes sense. The Stormtrooper is in a bit bulkier of a suit, so it would make sense that he'd be at least a couple inches taller than Ant-Man over here. And he is, of course, towering over his Marvel Legends Infinite Series counterpart. And here he is next to my alpaca. As for accessories, besides the pair of relaxed hands I do have on the figure at the moment, Ant-Man does come with a pair of fisted hands with beautiful detail. I absolutely love the sculpt with all the how the leather folds together, the button and everything that he uses to power on the suit. Just wonderfully sculpted, detailed, and just great paint applications overall. Does come with a pair of really weird hands, honestly, like he's crawling or something. I don't know what's up with this. Maybe it's for holding something. It doesn't look like he can hold anything this big. Oh god, I make things unnecessarily sexual. And he does come with a right hand that is meant to be pushing the button so he can activate his shrinking ability. And another right hand, which is actually not meant for pushing the button, it's basically for holding his accessories and such. It does come with the enlarging and shrinking discs. Do have the red version here, I don't know if you can see on camera, and the blue one as well. These are tiny, very, very easy to lose, so, you know, put them in a plastic bag, be careful, because I almost lost these a couple times. And he does come with, pairs of PIM particles in these little tubes. One's red, and one's transparent blue. Great details. I do love the glossy blackish silver they use for the tips here, and it's just a nice accessory. And like I said earlier in the video, these little PIM particles actually just plop into these open slots on the side of his belt. Don't push them in all the way because you will never get these out if you do that. Trust me, I have the experience. And now to the final accessory. Well, second to final, but I have searched everywhere to find out what in the hell these things are. These little bricks of quote-unquote gold. They have buttons on top of them, and I'm pretty sure these weren't in the movie. I've watched several other reviews, and all reviews basically say the same thing. I don't know what this is. I wish I did know what it was, but you know, it's included. It comes with a pair of wrist pegs in case you break them. In addition to his accessories, he does come with a dedicated stand to say Marvel's Ant-Man Scott Lane, which is honestly pretty generic. Just says Ant-Man. Do have some red blotches here and there. It's a museum type of crotch holder stand. Nothing too special. I actually prefer these over the dynamic stands, believe it or not, just because I don't have the space to put like a giant display stand with a giant Ultron Sentry on top. Don't have the space, so this is perfect. Last but not least, he does come with a miniature version of himself. Not articulate at all, but considering how small this little guy is, he does have some great paint applications. You can clearly see the red, the silver, and the black pretty clearly. He even has a tiny bit of red on his boot here, which I found really funny. He has his matte backpack molded on there, too. Little red blotch on top. It's pretty detailed for a tiny figure, and he actually does come with a stand as well. He actually just, you know, it's not really a stand per se, he just pegs into it. He's really wiggly, so just tough to get him on, but you know, eventually he stands. So overall, I highly recommend this figure. Lately, he has been completely sold out everywhere. He's on the wait list on Sideshow Collectibles at the moment, so just a heads up for that. I got this from a private seller on eBay. Mine actually came defected, unfortunately. The magnet in the faceplate was not strong enough to attach to the rest of the helmet. That's why I actually have a extra helmet right now stored away, which is defected, so really no point in having it. But I got him exchanged at Sideshow Collectibles. Not promoting anything, but just saying that that seems to be a common theme in this figure. He does have that defect with the magnets in his faceplate, so I honestly hope to God that if you order this guy and receive him, you don't have the same problem I did. And with that said, people, if you did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, comment, check out my site at SunSpotReviewz.com, and I will see you guys in my next video.